What's up, YouTube? It's Ask the Young One with CreateHigherVibrations.com. Today I wanted to do a video and talk a little bit more about self-love, and a little bit that kind of goes into it, and a little bit more on the actual understanding of what self-love is, because a lot of people like to throw that word around, love yourself, and self-love solves a lot of things, which it does, and it's extremely powerful, and it's probably one of the best things you can actually commit to doing for yourself, is to start that journey of self-love. But one of the biggest parts of self-love is to understand that it is a journey. If we're holding a lot of trauma, if we're holding a lot of certain things within ourselves that can create reactions or create different emotions that are possibly negative, that we keep suppressing, that we don't want to feel, that we don't want to face, we're basically telling ourselves that part of us is not good. So we have to really concentrate or bring it to our awareness on what those things are, and at the same time begin to accept those things within ourselves. Once we begin to accept these things and stop resisting them, we can begin to let them go, and we can actually begin to love ourselves a little bit more unconditionally. And the more we start to love ourselves unconditionally, the less we start seeking it out from others. Because in general, on the surface, when we're actually seeking out love from another person, we're actually seeking another person to mitigate and make these feelings inside of us feel better. And instead of solving these problems we have within ourselves of unacceptance, by beginning to unconditionally love all aspects of ourselves. And this again is a journey. This isn't something you can just wake up and say, oh, I fully love myself. Because if you're in a toxic relationship, if you're sitting and continuing, and believe me, I get it. I get you want validation, and there's nothing wrong with that. I get you want to understand what happened, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you can look at the people you're around. You can look at the people you say that you actually love, and you can take, and how they are back to you is really a reflection of your self-love. And that's a lot of what I've learned. Because I can take, if it's hard to explain now, because I really don't have those types of people around me at all, literally, period, anymore. But it's kind of like, a good reflection is when someone treats us like really crap, like shit, and we tolerate it and we allow it and we accept that. It's kind of like accepting that that's about as far and as valuable as we feel our love is for ourselves. And when we begin to love all these aspects of ourselves that we're seeking out for another person to make us feel, then we will no longer accept those things for ourselves. We will no longer accept being treated that way. It's kind of like a lot of people bring up the fact that anybody can be smoozed and what's the word? I don't know, smoozed, or like you can meet another toxic person that's highly manipulative, and in the beginning they can show you all these things again, these love bombs again, and it's hard even for an awakened person to even get. Well, there's a couple of things there, and that's fine if that's your belief, and that's fine if you think that that's where you're at, and that's perfectly okay, because you're only going to love yourself to the point of your awareness allows you to see your complete self. So, and that's fine. But the thing is in the beginning, if these things happen, the first sign of toxicity, or the first sign of you being controlled, or the first sign of any of these things, the red flags that you would be clearly aware of by now, start to happen, then self-love will end that relationship immediately and never look back. And that's how that works. We don't continue to break ourselves down for other people that can't love themselves enough to love us. And that basically what it comes down to. Another person cannot love you, or let me rephrase that. Another person can only love you at the point of their own self-love. And we all know toxic people pretty much don't have any idea what self-love is. For the most part, even as an empath, we were never taught what self-love is, because our own parents don't understand self-love. And so we were never taught these things as well. And that's why it's so important to begin to learn how to love yourself, to learn how to embody that fullness of yourself and stop resisting the things about yourself that you might not like. That's what allows you to start to heal these things. It's like you have the ego. Well, and then, if you can remember being a 5-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old child, living in pure essence of love, because you don't know anything different yet, because you haven't been taught to not like yourself. You haven't been taught that you're not enough yet. You haven't been taught that you're unlovable. You haven't been taught all these things yet. So you're still in that pure essence of love. And in that, you bury that child as you start to grow and these things are taught. So in essence, as you start going through these things, you really start putting your ego in check and really replacing the ego with that inner child. And that starts to happen the more you start to love yourself unconditionally and allowing yourself to flow as the being that you are. Again, this all takes awareness, it takes work, it takes a lot of acceptance, it takes stopping resisting things, because what we resist persists. Again, that goes back to putting all our focus into what a narcissist is, and putting our focus into the things that we cannot change at this moment in time, because it's done, it's in the past. And as long as we continue to live in that, then that's what will persist in our life. That will be the energy and the flow that will continue to persist in our life. So I wanted to share my thoughts about a little bit more about understanding self-love, because it's thrown around so loosely, and it's an extremely powerful and deep healing and a deep process, and to understand it completely is very, very important. Now this is just surface stuff, talking on the understanding part of it, but it goes back to, if you can, even if you put that general rule in, if you're practicing self-love, you're not going to have, you're not going to be honestly, a person fully participating in the commitment to themselves and to bringing the self-love out of themselves is not going to go and then turn around and hang out with a bunch of people that have no idea how to love themselves. So you can kind of reflect back into what you actually accept within your life and the people that you accept in your life. And it really just goes back to they can only give you what they got. And if they don't got none, you're not going to get none. But if you think they're giving you some, then that again goes back to where you got to check yourself. So, it's kind of like a healer or a coach. You can only coach and help others heal at the level of consciousness, at the level of awareness of your own healing. That's as far as you can go with other people. You could bullshit them, but in the end, they're not going to get anywhere. And the same thing goes with love. If you have no idea about the self-love within yourself, you're not going to have any idea of how much and what another person's doing as far as how much they love you. And it's something to we have to understand. So people can only understand you at their level of awareness. And I'll share this one last topic when it comes to that is, there's still some good people in our lives, and we may reach out to them for understanding. But the understanding, when it comes to dealing with these toxic relationships and things like this, is a lot of people that haven't dealt with it don't understand it. And it's really difficult for them to understand it because they've not been through it. Their awareness is nowhere not, and it's not able to understand it. So, you know, if you get frustrated with somebody that doesn't understand you and they respond to you in a way that you don't like, you know, take a moment, instead of getting yourself worked up or getting yourself creating more suffering within yourself because you're not understood. At least, you know, take that moment and bring it to awareness and realize, you know, they can only understand you at their level of awareness, at their level of consciousness. And if they don't understand you, it's probably not something personal. It's probably just because it's as far as they are in their own awareness. And therefore, it should tell you that, you know, you're gonna have to seek out somebody else that can bring that more emotional awareness with them to understand you. So, you know, if it helps to understand that, so that we're not reaching out and constant creating more pain or more suffering or more of the not being understood, because that again triggers another trauma, especially coming from childhood. Most of us weren't heard as children. We were told, we stay in the background, we don't talk. And so you're carrying that trauma with you. And that's another thing a lot of times we got to heal. So I wanted to share my thoughts on that. And, you know, let you guys know, I mean, this stuff, it's not all gloom. It's not all gloom and doom all the time. It's actually a very beautiful process. And it's actually when you can get to that moment, and you can start watching yourself process, you can start seeing yourself, your growth, and you start becoming aware of not just the toxic relationships, but you'll start becoming aware of literally the world around you, and you'll start seeing through so many things, and it's pretty amazing. And through that, it teaches you how to respond to life. So understanding self-love is also a mastery. It takes work, it takes commitment, and I'll end it with, for sure, that if you're spending all of your time focusing on the 22,000 ways that a narcissist can gaslight you, then you're not committed to self-love. So I would ask, if you can't commit fully to self-love, at least start balancing it out until you can commit fully to yourself. Because I do understand that some of this stuff, it takes time and people want understanding. So at least at this point, go halfway in and start focusing halfway on your self-development, and and allow the other half to kind of relieve some of the validation needs, and then see if that will start leading you more into yourself rather than the focus of another person. And I think with that, I'll go ahead and jump off here. And if any of this stuff resonates with you guys, please like and subscribe. I do get a lot of great feedback. I get a lot of feedback that my perception brings a different view, and there's a different vibe with it, and that's really what I like to do. I mean, I'm big on, this is your one shot in life, and you deserve to live it happy, and you don't deserve to live it caught up in this miserable trap. And we got to do and make some changes to get out of those traps. So if any of this stuff resonates, please like, subscribe, share it. And if you want to get deeper into, if you need help with understanding self-love, if you need help with this process of any of it, please get a hold of me through my website, or you can send a message on any of these social medias. Also look me up on Facebook. It's Create Higher Vibrations. Like that page. I share a lot of deep posters, deep things on there. So for now, I will go, and I hope you enjoyed it. Namaste.